Hi, it's Brian Greenway from April Wine, and you're watching CMS TV.
And that is right. We don't die. We just burn on fire. That's it. What is going on, everybody? It is Limping Out of the Fire. It's me, Chris Akin, the fire guy. And that guy over there is the limping guy.
You have no idea. No idea. Limping. Oh, my God.
Well, tell us. What's going on, man?
Hell, I think I talked about it last week when we had Josh on. I need a new leg. Now, this leg is like number one, really, 1.5.
Right.
The first one is like the one you get, like when you first pop out of the hospital, like, all right, here you can stand up on this thing.
Sure.
And then this is like the first real leg that I got. And it'll be 4 years in April.
Yeah, and as we found out from Josh, you should be on about number 4, right?
Right. And so this thing, I know that I've gained a little bit of weight since, you tend to a little bit, I guess, when you're a little bit less mobile than you were.
You're less mobile. You're getting older.
And so there's a lot of factors that go into it. And
sure.
So the leg does not fit. It does not want to go down to where it's supposed to go down, like my stump into the leg.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like wobbling around. I'm like, it's like cutting me. I'm bleeding. I'm like, it's a freaking nightmare. And like coming up the stairs today, I could feel it like just kind of moving around inside this prosthetic. And man, there were a couple times I was like, I'm going down. I may have to like sit on my butt to go down the stairs. After this. I'll be like a 2-year-old.
Lay down and put your arms out, Superman down the steps.
Yes, or something, because it was not pleasant coming up here.
Oh, I'll bet. Well, dude, I'm asking this may be a dumb question, but why don't you just, until you get the leg situated or the new leg or whatever has to happen here, why don't you put the chair back out there and ride around in the chair where as much as you could? Why don't
I
you
do it home.
Okay.
But obviously I can't do the stairs with that. And then like going to work, they don't have maybe I could make a couple of bucks off this, but they don't have like really easy like handicap access to the building where I work. Like up front they have nothing, like zero.
Right.
And back they have like a ramp kind of thing, it's like a small ramp, but it snows and forget about it.
Yeah, because nobody gives it any love either when it snows. It's just forgotten, I'm sure. That
back parking lot looks like an Olympic skating rink. And then the doors don't open, like they don't have like an automatic door.
Oh, so
where you push a button and go in. And so if I had like my wheelchair or the scooter, it'd be almost impossible for me to get into that building.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, you would think that there would be like something that they're required to have.
Well, it probably is. I'm assuming, is it an old building? I don't know where your current place is.
It's an Independence. I mean, it's not exactly old, I don't think. It's not like, Prohibition days where they built this building.
Well, I didn't think it was that old, but
I mean, it's got to be somewhat new-ish.
Right.
But shit, man. I mean, oops, sorry. But
that's fine.
It sucks. Like,
dude,
trying to get
the theme song has the F word in it. I think we can swear a little.
But it really has very limited access because once you get through the first set of doors that aren't accessible,
right,
you have to go through another set of doors like immediately.
Right.
So there's like 2 sets of doors back to back that if you're in a wheelchair or on a scooter or something like that, there's no way to just open them up.
You almost need 2 people to help you to get in so they can both hold the doors open. Great.
So, I mean, if the property management would like to meet me there every morning at 8:00 to let me in, I guess go for it and shovel me away to the door.
See, this might be the way that you convince them that you would do better work if you worked from home. See,
You know, I can't do that.
well, you
I'm not gonna
could.
put a board in my, my home office.
Why not?
Because they won't. You know how much money that costs to put. They could hire my replacement for 3 years to put instead of putting a board inside my home.
I bet you it's cheaper than making the building handicap accessible.
I bet you it's cheaper than the lawsuit that I'm going to have if I hurt myself trying to get into the building.
It's cheaper than the unemployed that you'll be for suing the company, right?
Look, I'm not going to sue the company. I would sue the building management. That's for sure.
Sure. Well,
Maybe then when I own the building, I'll make it handicap accessible.
maybe I'll just make a call. Seriously, I'm not even playing on this. You ought to just make a call to the building management and say, look, this is my deal. I work here. How can we accommodate this? Don't even be an asshole about it. Just be like, how can we accommodate it? I would bet you, and I don't know this to be true, and I could be dead wrong, but I'll bet you they've never had a reason to even think about this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they probably have never thought about it. And
No, I doubt that they have.
And so therefore it might be an honest mistake that if you bring to their attention, they might be like, you know what? Good point, Seth. We're going to put in electronics on the doors to open the doors tomorrow or
I mean, look,
arm things or whatever.
I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I'm not asking for something that is, you know, it's basic necessities though for somebody that is in a position that I'm in.
Yeah. Look,
I mean, look,
their tenant hired you knowing you have a handicap. So it's up to the building to take care of it.
The last building management that was there, the guy was over the top for me. I mean, literally like I would never even ask somebody to do what he would do.
Sure.
I mean, he would literally we would not have sex. He would literally meet me in my car in the morning.
Right.
Because he knew what time I showed up. Mm-hmm. And if it snowed that night, he had a path that he shoveled for me to get from where I park my car every single day. Right up to the ramp. He'd shovel the ramp, salt the ramp, and then it would be easy for me. I mean, there was one day where he didn't get there in time, right? Mm-hmm. So he saw me pull in. He met me in the back of the building, and he literally, like, had me hold on to him in his truck so he could walk me to the door of the building.
Wow, that's nice.
That guy was like super duper over the top nice. Great. And then they sold it to some other building management, and they don't do anything.
And they don't show up.
No. And I think my engineer did call them and said, "Hey, look, you got this guy with this problem. Mm-hmm. He's got to be able to get into the building." And they said, "Well, sorry, but we only have one truck for 4 buildings that we have here." And
well, so, you know what? Tough shit.
Sorry.
Tough shit for them.
Well, I mean, I think they kind of said that the other way around to me.
Well, I'm sure they did, but the real answer is, well, and I guess, I mean, you follow that up with, well, I guess then we'll just have to speak through attorneys from now on. Boom. Well, because they got to, I mean, look, I'm not telling you to sue your building or I'm not giving any advice. I'm just, I'm suggesting that they have to provide this.
Yes.
This is not a, well, if it's convenient for us, we're going to provide it. It's a law, so they should be providing it. And if they're not, then you should. That's why I'm saying you approach them nice the first time, but you let them know I can be a litigious individual like anybody else if you're going to make it so that I have to struggle to get into my job.
Yeah, I mean, look, my company hasn't done anything wrong, so I would never in a billion years think about something like that. But I mean, the building management is different. I mean, you own a building, you need to make it accessible.
Yeah, well, and it's not like you're asking them to put in an elevator or or something like that. You're asking them to make it so that you can get from the parking lot into the office. What is that? 40 feet, 50 feet?
That's it.
You're asking them to make it accessible for 50 feet. I don't think you're asking for anything crazy here.
I mean, like today, because my leg has been kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And like. There was some snow that came in while we were doing the show this morning, the radio show.
Yeah, it was snowing hard.
And they didn't come through with the plow. So then when it was time for me to leave, I'm looking at this parking lot going, oh my God, dude, this snow's on the ground. Nobody's come through. So I had to hold on to Jake. Like, I feel weird holding on to another man as I'm walking through the parking lot to get to my car.
Hey, you. Why are you watching this with commercials? Go commercial free and unlock exclusive content. Become a VIP today on Locals, Substack, or Rumble Premium. Stop waiting.
Well, it's only going to be bad for Jake if you actually do start to fall. Because
Yeah.
no offense to you, my friend, but you're taking Jake right down with you.
And that's what I say.
Jake is not catching you.
I say to my poor wife all the time because she's, bless her, man. She's a great woman, fantastic lady.
Right.
But, we get out of the car and to go into a restaurant the other day. And again, even in the handicap spots, there's snow everywhere. There's snow on the sidewalk, snow on the curb to get up and into the building. And my choices are to either A, not eat, or B, go in and somehow get through the snow. So
right.
I'm like, I have to do this. I have to just get up and do it. It sucks, but I'm going to do it. And I get out of the car, I start walking, and she is desperately trying to help. Like, here, let me hang on to this and that. And she's almost like trying to bear hug me to hold on to me. I'm like, honey, you don't seem to understand. If I'm going down.
Yeah, you're going with me. If
you're going with me.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the help, but let me just try to get this done. If I fall, help me get up.
What about, and again, I'm throwing a lot of what abouts out there because I'm talking from not knowing, not having any idea. But what about, as much as you don't want to do it, what about like the 4-prong walker thing? Wouldn't that give you the stability that you need to get in and out of the building?
Yeah, that probably would help a little bit, actually. And, maybe I should think about that because I got to get over my pride at some point.
Yeah. Well, it's not. If you're thinking of that as a pride thing, dude, I got news for you. You lost a leg, bro. You know what? Everything's not going to be the same. You're not going to be running the Boston Marathon. You're not going to be just jumping up like you used to and running outside to grab a smoke or grab something you forgot in your car or whatever. It's different. There's no pride. Dude, nobody's going to look at you, see, and I don't know if you even care about it, but nobody's going to look and say, look at that lazy one-legged bastard using a 4-prong walker. What a lazy piece of shit. No one's going to do that, dude.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do to be right, man. Screw everybody else.
It just, I don't know. To me, I look at somebody in a walker and I think if you're an old person, sometimes I try not to realize and try to think about the fact that I am handicapped, dude.
Yeah.
It's
a dirty word. It is. Look, and it's funny you bring that up because that leads right into our topic today. But the topic that we put together for today is the first week. And the reason that we're going to talk about the first week is because in that first week, when you wake up, come to, understand or look and see you're missing a leg, or for me, it was looking and just seeing, a bag of burned skin. I mean, you go through a transformation like nothing you'll ever go through, ever, never.
Right.
Which is, you have to retrain your brain on something you never ever considered for a minute. How old were you when you lost your leg, Seth?
It was 4 years ago, so 45.
45.
46.
I guarantee you. Tell me if I'm wrong. Not one time in those first 44 years did you ever once think that you would have a day where you didn't have a leg.
No.
Never had it.
Nope.
So when you wake up into that, and you were like me, you were in the coma. So you wake up, you're in the coma. First of all, for anybody that's never been in a coma, which I assume is pretty much everybody that's watching, when you wake up from a coma, that is the scariest feeling in the entire world because you don't know what happened. What you think happened may or may not have been a dream. You don't want to sound like an idiot asking, you you got strange people coming. For me, it was strange people coming in and out of the room. I didn't know what they were talking about. You know, it is scary. It is absolutely frightening. And you go from that, you transition from that into what I call the anger acceptance phase, which is you start understanding and you start trying to accept it, but you're not ready to accept it. So you get super pissed off at, well, everybody, you know, I was so mad at some points, dude, when I was in the hospital that there were times I was yelling at the freaking TV. The TV. I'd be watching the news or something. I'd be like, how can you not know that? You know, I'd be like just yapping at anything, anyway. My poor ex-wife would come into the room, and I got to tell you this story because it's so horrible. This is me at my absolute worst, being a total dick. So I don't know how it is for amputation. I'm assuming it's similar, but probably not as strict. But with burns, everything is about infections. Everything at first. And you know, they're because literally your body is fighting to heal.
Okay.
So every bit of you is working on the healing. So if somebody brings in a cold or something, that's literally a death sentence. It'll just absolutely kill you. So my ex, they're like my room. I was in a room by myself, and there was like a little, I don't know what you call that, like a entry port, like to my room. And in there was where you would get the gowns and the gloves and the hair nets and all that crap. Right. So everybody that would come to visit me had to gown. We used to call it gowning up. They had to gown up.
Right.
Put all that crap on. So, and you know, it's a pain in the ass. So my wife, who was coming there just to be supportive of me, she'd come in the room, she'd put all the junk on, you know, the slipper covers on her shoes, the gown, the mask, the hairnet. For me, because I was so burned up, they had to wear a visor as well, one of those plastic visor things.
Yeah.
Had to wear all that stuff, and I was so bitterly angry. My wife, she would come in, she'd be like, "Hey, Chris, how are you? How you feeling today?" You know, she's trying to be positive, right?
Right. And
I would be like, "I haven't seen a doctor in 2 fucking hours. Go get one." And she'd be like, no, it's okay. I'd be like, no, I'd be screaming at her. I'd be like, go get a doctor. So now she has to go back out the room, take all that junk off. You know, she goes and finds a doctor. The doctor says, well, he's not due for another doctor's appointment for 3 hours or something. So then she has to come back in the room, gown up all that stuff again to come in to tell me. And she tells me this. And my immediate answer is, that's not good enough. Go get them now. And I had no give. I was like so pissed about everything that I wanted everything now. And it was just, I can't believe that she kept coming every day. I wouldn't have. I'd have been like, good. Hope you die, you bitch.
First,
I was angry, man.
the first couple of weeks for me, like I remember, You're right. I remember getting out of that coma going, what the hell's going on? I mean, literally the one thing that I remember about coming out of the coma, because I was in the intensive care or whatever, all these tubes in my throat and stuff. And that's the one thing that I remember is all of a sudden being able to breathe on my own again. I felt those tubes come out of there.
Right.
And I woke up and I was just like, oh my God, like, where am I? Like you said, I was just completely.
Yeah, you don't know.
But I remember exactly what I saw in my dream or whatever it is when you are in a coma or near death. Because I remember exactly. To this day, I still remember exactly what I saw. And it was crazy for me. And
yeah, and
the first couple of weeks that I was in the hospital was all kind of a blur for me because they kept putting me on some heavy medications.
Same.
Like I was on my doxy stuff, and man, I I was so far gone. I remember 15 minutes of a conversation, and next thing you know, I was asleep, and then back into the conversation. It was bizarre, but I was really, really out of it.
Yeah.
But then when they moved me for like therapy and stuff is when I got angry because I was really alone.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and kid would come up, but my wife doesn't like hospitals and didn't want her daughter sitting up there in the hospital all day, and she still had to work and stuff. And so I was really just sitting there by myself a whole lot of time with a whole lot of time to think. And you think about all the friends you thought you had at work and they never showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just sitting there like, am I that bad of a person that nobody wants to be around me, or what is it?
Right.
And it was very lonely and very, very dark.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
because even if they came up, they couldn't stay long.
No. It is I've said this, I even said it in my book, which I do have a copy of my book. Here it is, Call Me Chris. But I have talked about this in my book. I've talked about it when I've spoken at colleges and stuff. The number one problem with the hospitals was not the care, was not the commitment of the nurses or the doctors or misdiagnosis or any of that kind of stuff. The number one problem I had being in the hospital was exactly what you just said. You're alone, because you're alone in a situation that you've never envisioned, and you don't have the slightest clue what's going on. Like, even when they're doing stuff to you, you don't know what's going on. I'm sure correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because this is how it was with me. They would come to do something to me, and I would be like, what are you doing? And a lot of the time the answer was, well, we did this yesterday, but now we have to do this today, more of this or whatever it was. And it didn't register because I did not understand at all what was going on. I was like you. I was on a wide open morphine drip bag for a month, a solid month, stoned out of my gourd every minute of every day. And sometimes, dude, I woke up one time. You don't know if it's day or night, if you're supposed to be asleep, you're awake, whatever. I woke up one time and they were literally stitching this eye. There was like the blue thing that they put over your face, with the little hole in it where they're going to cut on, and they were cutting and working on my eye. And I didn't know what the hell I opened my eyes and I see somebody with a knife at my eye, and I immediately was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because I didn't know. I had no idea. And then they take the thing off my face, and it's a doctor and a nurse. They're completely gowned up. They're wearing the mask. They're wearing the visor, gloves, everything. I don't know how you feel about that, but when you come straight out of sleep to that is frightening.
Oh, dude. There are nights where I don't even like admitting some of this stuff, dude. Some of it's just embarrassing crap.
It's what it is.
So I'm laying there, and this was back when I was not in the therapy hospital. I was in like the main hospital.
Uh-huh.
So it was really, less than 2 weeks after losing it. And I still don't know what the hell is really going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sleeping, and these two big dudes, man, big, large, big black guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they come into the room, and it had to be like orderlies or whatever.
Sure.
And so obviously I couldn't take showers and stuff like that yet.
Right.
And so like they would come in, and like I remember them taking off like gowns and stuff and flopping me around like a fucking fish, dude, because they had to wash and stuff. And then I'm trying to pull myself up because I didn't have a leg.
Right.
And so now I'm trying to pull myself back up onto the bed, using my hands above my head to try to yank back. And my shoulder still hasn't recovered since that. I yanked out a ginormous block of hair out of my head. And so, my wife even noticed after that, like, she's like, Seth, there's something wrong with your hair. It's gone. It looked like a monk, dude, because I just
Just
splotched
pulled it
out of the
out,
middle
yeah.
of my head. It was just gone because I was trying to
Mhm.
pull myself up. I mean,
Yeah.
it was scary being in there, dude. It was scary, especially because I was in a hospital, like I was in Metro, right?
Same here. I was at Metro too.
And I didn't have insurance at the time, so it's not like
Yeah.
I was treated like nice with a nice, private room and stuff.
Sure.
I was sitting there one night. This is honest to God story. My dad was there. They walked in. The cops walked into my room with this dude. They laid him down on the bed and they handcuffed him to the bed.
Oh boy.
So now this dude's like screaming stuff. I'm sitting there like an ass. I can't go anywhere.
Right.
Man.
Exactly.
I can't get up and move around and say, "Get me out of here."
Mm-hmm.
And there's this dude just screaming, handcuffed to the bed. I got hair missing from my head. It was literally just out of a nightmare. I could write a book on that. I could write a movie on that. It would be
Sure.
terrifying to watch.
Sure. No, I get it, man. I mean, it's so terrifying when you're first waking up because everything you know is dead. And whether you want to believe it or not, and you don't want to believe it. You instantly are like, I don't know how to even explain this to people. You kind of, in your brain, when you're first waking up, it's like if you ever had the flu really bad. Your brain is telling you, well, I'll take rest and they're going to give me meds and I'll be fine and I'll be out the door next week or what, you're in that brain mode. And a day goes by and 2 and 3, and you start understanding what really happened a little bit more than the day before. And all of a sudden, now you want to talk about fear. You are gripped with the fear of, this is my new existence. That's the first fear you end up really having. You go from straight up confusion to, this is as good as it's going to be. I'm going to be a fucking invalid in the hospital for the rest of my life. It's like, oh my God, it's so scary.
And then when they got me over to the therapy hospital, right over there by the zoo,
Yeah.
and I'm in this place. I'm on the 8th floor, and I remember one day going on the elevator and seeing the 8th floor is for like head trauma patients.
Oh, great.
I have no idea why I was on that floor, none.
Right.
And so they would, weird stuff was up there. Like my dad says, why don't you get to know some of your neighbors and stuff that are up there in the rooms? Because most of them were literally, I'm not joking, brain dead.
Oh, wow.
They were laying there with like nothing. They couldn't talk to you. I don't know why I was on that room. Maybe they knew that I was just stupid or something. So they'd stick me in there. I mean, it's like even in therapy stuff, they had me doing like putting together puzzles that were meant for like a 3rd grader, like a farm. I had a puzzle of farm.
Dude, you forget. I know that in your head it was probably you were confused because there's like, what does this have to do with my leg?
Yeah.
But the reality is you had sepsis in your blood. You had poison in your blood system. They're worried about your brain, probably.
I guess.
You're probably worried that you were going to get some real brain damage from that infection getting up into your brain.
Well, I was brain dead to begin with. But I was very lonely because not a lot of people were showing up. One of the guys that called me while I was in the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. Was former Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
Okay.
And like I knew him from some of the stuff on the radio, and so I mean I've known him. He's been a decent friend to me. But like he was like seriously one hell of a friend.
Sure.
And called me to see how I was doing in the hospital. And he said, "Look, Seth, anything you need, I'm here for you." I got so paranoid at one point that they were going to like keep me in that hospital forever because I'd already been there for a month and wasn't scheduled to get out for a couple more weeks. Mm-hmm. I started getting paranoid that they weren't going to let me out.
Yeah.
So I called the congressman. And I'm like, man, you have to tell me they're going to let me out of here. I was like, I don't care what you do. You got to call them and you got to have them like write something out, make sure that I'm allowed to get the hell out of this place.
Right.
Like, or come get me if they don't let me out of here. But that's how you get weirded. I don't know.
You do. And it's because it's the unknown.
And he did, though. He did actually say, Seth, you're going to get out of there. I promise you that. He's like, And if they give you any hard time, I will make sure that you get out of that hospital. I said, okay, thank you.
I hear you.
But it gets weird and it messes with your brain, man. Not just my leg. I was scared of everything in there.
Get more metal in your inbox. The Classic Metal Show is on Substack. Listen or watch for free or subscribe for VIP exclusive content. Find us at cmspn.substack.com.
Well, yeah, because, look, this is not an everybody story. This is a me story, and it might be a you story as well. I think it's definitely more me. I have lived my entire life 100% independent.
Yeah.
Never have I relied on anybody for anything in my entire life except for this moment. And at this moment, I went from being independent, tough guy, strong, power guy, powerful personality. I went from that to being 1,000% helpless overnight, and to the level of, if I don't do everything that I'm told, I will die. I told the story last week on the show about my doctor getting in my face, yelling at me on the roof as they're getting me off the helicopter. If you don't shut up and if you don't stop wasting your energy, you will die. And prior to that exact moment, I never, ever had to rely on another person for anything. And now I had to rely on this total stranger and believe him and listen to him. And that was so outside of my world. I'm surprised I did it, to be honest. I'm surprised that I didn't keep on screaming and hollering until I had a stroke and died on the table. I really am surprised that I listened, because it was so out of character for me to just give in. But it's the only way you can get through it, is you have to give in. You have to let the doctors do their doctoring. You have to trust the nurses. If you don't, you're screwed.
I remember one of the craziest things that I remember about being in intensive care or being whatever I was. I don't know what was going on because I was just out of it.
Sure.
I remember there was a doctor that would be with me every day and would talk to me and be encouraging and be in the room with me, just sitting there. Sometimes he would just sit there and talk. And one day I went back to the doctor's office where the vascular guy that cut my leg off.
Sure.
And this other guy came in, another doctor, and he started talking, and I recognized his voice from just hearing it, because obviously I wasn't awake to see it.
Sure.
But I remembered his voice from as soon as he started talking, I started crying, because I just remembered this was the guy that was there with me every single day until I woke up and was in the hospital with the leg cut off. But it was something I just remembered in my brain was his voice. Those people are amazing people.
They are. Dude. People that have been following the Seth show for a little while, since I've been on it, know that we had nurses from the burn unit on the Seth show. What was that, 2 years ago or whatever it was? Yeah. And I didn't know any of them, but it was from the Metro Health Burn Unit, which I am a survivor of. Not a survivor of them like I'm lucky to have survived, but I'm a burn survivor because of the Metro Health Burn Unit. And I couldn't fast enough, as soon as you said they were coming on, I instantly ordered them a case of books for the waiting room and for patients. And, I couldn't do enough to say thank you to them. Right. Because and it wasn't even those exact people, but without that collective of people that work there, I have no doubt in my mind I wouldn't have made it out of there. They were so patient and the work is brutal. Dude, I don't know. in both our situations, in yours with your leg, with me with the skin, they have to see the most horrific shit ever. And they have to see it all day long, every day. You know, in your case, they have to literally see limbs being cut off. In my case, they had to, a lot of times they had like a planing tool and they had to scrape dead skin, which would leave most people screaming in horror from the pain of them doing that. That's the one thing I look at as a blessing, is that they did all that stuff to me when I was in a coma. So I don't remember the scraping. But the horror that these people have, and to come in and be like, hey, how you doing today? You having a good morning? You know, trying to make you feel okay. That is God's work. Not that I'm a super religious guy, but that is God's work there, man.
Oh yeah, there's some I was terrified of. I remember there were a couple that remind me of like nurses from horror films.
Right.
And I'd be sleeping in the middle of the night, and they'd come in to take my blood or something like that, and I wanted to like stab them in the throat because I was afraid they were going to murder me in my sleep. But it all ended up being okay.
Dude, how many times, and I could tell you, for me, it was probably about 6 million, but how many times for you did a nurse come in and you had to apologize to him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you said something horrible to him like 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah. Mainly because I was afraid that now they're going to poison my food.
Yeah. Or anything, dude. I mean, it was like, I had this one, once I got going, one of the biggest problems that we had was my left hand, because all the tendons kind of rolled back on my hand, like they got burned off. And they rolled back, and they had to do reattachment surgery to reattach the tendons in the fingers. It was it was a mess, dude. To make that stuff work again, the muscles and I guess the tendons or whatever, the ligaments, they took these little metal posts. They were these little tiny posts, and they jammed them through like the skin. Like if you push on your fingers in between the two, you'll feel a little hole in your finger, like you'll feel like a soft spot in between your fingers. They put these metal posts in my hand, chink, 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 into there, and then I would have therapy where they would come and they would slowly bend the fingers to try and bend the tendons, which hurt like I was getting hit in the face with a baseball bat. And then to spark the muscles and the tendons to react, they took a little, it was like a battery thing, and they would shock the posts in my hand. So it was like, zzz, 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 and this shit would go on for like an hour. And at one point I looked at the therapist, and the therapist was trying to be positive. Like, she was really trying to be positive, as they all do. You know, they're trying to get you through it. They're not just like, this is going to hurt like a son of a bitch, but you're going to have to grit your teeth and deal with it. You know, they're like, I know this is going to hurt a little bit, but it's going to be better in the end. I just need you to take a deep breath. Can I get you some orange juice for, you know, they play that whole game. And she did this, and she's zapping me. And at one point I just got pissed off, and it just seemed like it was never going to end. And I screamed at her. I literally was like, if you don't fucking knock it off, I'm going to kill you when I get out of, you know, I just like lost it. And she's like, you know, and she walked out. She came back in 5 minutes later, and immediately I'm into I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. You know, but I did mean it. I ain't gonna lie. I meant it. I was so angry, but again, and it goes to what we're talking about here with that first week, that first moment. You don't know what's going on, so you're confused, in a lot of pain anyway, just from the nature of your accident. And now they're doing other stuff that's making it even worse, you know, and you don't know how to react, and you react the only way you can, by lashing out. And the fact that they don't do anything to you in those moments, you know, I get it why sometimes these nurses blow airlines into people's stuff and kill them. I get it, because Lord knows, if I was one of the nurses working on me, I might have fucking blown an airline through my valve to kill me, you know. And then your microphone dies. It was working. There it is.
There it is. One of the things that I remember thinking the entire time sitting there was I was never going to be able to be, like you said, on my own again and do stuff like on my own.
Yeah.
And driving, I thought I was never going to drive again because it's my right leg. And I was sitting there, how am I going to drive with the left foot? Am I
Sure.
The funny thing about my situation was because I didn't ever want to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I hated going to doctors, and they wanted me to go to the doctor every year to make sure that I was safe to drive. Right. And so I didn't.
Of course.
And
not.
so they yanked my license. Right.
Okay.
And I went for 15 years driving without a driver's license.
Right.
Because I got pulled over twice, I think, and got in a little bit of trouble, but everything ended up being okay.
Yeah.
But after I lost my leg and I got out of the hospital, I went to the license bureau. They gave me my driver's license back. And it made it good for like 15 years. And so like I driving illegally forever with 2 legs, and then now I can drive legally with 1.
Right, with 1.
It only took me losing a leg to get my license back.
Sure.
Messed up as that.
It is.
But
Dude,
it's cool. I mean, I like driving the way that I drive now. And stuff,
Yeah, no, now you're used to it, but
it just, everything was going through my head of, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. The first day that I got home, that was probably another topic when on the road.
oh yeah.
But I remember the first day that I got home, and my wife actually had to go to work, and like I was there just by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in this wheelchair in a condo that was way too small. Like the wheelchair didn't fit in some areas of the house and stuff.
Sure.
And, we had to take all like the shower doors off in the bathroom. The wheelchair barely fit in the bathroom because it was a really small condo.
Right.
And I had to like back into the bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then had to take the doors off the shower, and then get one of these chairs to sit in to take a shower, and like transfer back and forth from the wheelchair to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the first day that she was at work and I was sitting there by myself, I was starving. I was like, I'm going to get something to eat. Well, she forgot to take any like plates down for me. Cabinets that were too tall, and I couldn't get the plates. I couldn't get anything out of the freezer. I couldn't maneuver the wheelchair enough to get this way, that way, turn around to get like something to drink. I thought I was going to die of starvation. There's so many things.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's endless the amount of things that change.
Even to this day, and we're talking 4 years almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, me and my wife were arguing like crazy, and I had like a mental breakdown, dude. Because she's right. I have gained a lot of weight since, this happened. Well, what do you want me to do? I have a leg that doesn't fit right. I can't exercise.
Yeah.
I can't go even for just a walk down the street because my leg right now is bleeding. I mean, people that aren't in the position that we're in.
Yeah, they don't
understand don't understand the little things that I still deal with or you deal with on a day-to-day basis, even years upon years later. That there aren't just easy fixes to certain things.
Dude, believe
it's not easy.
I mean, I take a boatload of shit from fans of the CMS who are, look, I built that monster, so I got to live with feeding that monster. You know what I mean? And one of the things, and it is the one thing after my accident that I very, very, very much hate. It's probably the only thing that I really, truly look at, and it just pisses me off, is the weight. I was never fat. I mean, I had a couple of extra pounds on me when I got hurt, but I was like 220. I weighed 220 pounds. Now I'm like 420. And, and it comes from the fact that these grafts do not have pores. So when I work out, like, people say to me, "Oh, look, you fat bastard, why don't you work out? Why don't you walk? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" It's like, I can only work out like 10 minutes at a time. And if I do that, if I do the wrong thing, if I just decided tomorrow I'm going to do an hour on the treadmill every single day, it would be less than 2 weeks before I'm admitted to the hospital, maybe dying, but for sure having surgery, because they would have to cut these grafts at least open to get out the dirt and the salt and all the garbage that comes from sweating, because it won't, like, for anybody else, they can go and they sweat and they get hot for a minute and they take a break and they're fine. For me, it's like I'm always wearing a raincoat, always. And I can't get too hot, or I will have problems that could be really life-threatening. And it sucks, and I hate it. And, you do the things that you can. I do a ton of yoga and chair tai chi and different things to try and do like lower impact, not because I can't handle the impact, but because I can't handle the heat. And to explain that to somebody, look how long it just took me right now to explain it. Right. Explaining it to somebody in 2 seconds when they're saying, "Eat a salad, you fat bag of shit," that's a whole different thing. And like for you, people tell you all the time, "Well, you got an artificial leg, you can get on a treadmill." No concept of that. They have no concept of what that truly means. You getting on a treadmill is different from them getting on a treadmill.
Look, I'll be honest, and maybe I've had a bad prosthetic doctor. That's why I'm going to the one I'm going to now. See what happens, because I don't think I've ever been comfortable in this leg, like ever. Mm-hmm. Like walking, it hurts.
Yeah,
and I don't think it should. Maybe it shouldn't. I look. I'm 4 years in. I don't know if maybe I did something wrong, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. But I don't think that I have not felt comfortable in a leg since I got one.
Yeah,
and I did fall off a treadmill because the leg came unglued or unstuck from the pin, and I got hurt doing that.
Yeah,
but it's a lot of things. Again, you realize that every night still, I get out of bed because I have to go to the bathroom or something, and I get from the bed into the wheelchair, and I still look down on it and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that this is my life."
Yeah, dude,
I get back from the bathroom and I go, "This is it forever. This is what it's going to be like, not for tonight, but for every night for the rest of my life."
Yeah.
And so, it makes you angry when you start talking about it with my wife or anybody else who doesn't understand that.
Right.
This isn't going to change for me. Mm-hmm. The misery isn't going to change. It's going to be either accept it, get on with it, quit crying about it, and move on.
Yeah. Or sit in your house like a shut-in until you die.
Right.
Those are your choices. No, I get it.
And so there are days that are easier than others. There are days that are definitely tougher than others. Mm-hmm. There are days where I sit there and I get back into bed and I go, "I can't believe that just took me 15 minutes to do something that should take me 2.
Sure.
And I don't know if I want to do this anymore."
Yeah, dude.
But there isn't an option.
No, there's no. Well, the only option is a gun, and you don't want that out. You don't want to use that option. Do
you think about those things though?
You do. You definitely do. You definitely do. Dude, one of the things that I go through now, and this is my accident was December 12th of 94. So that is 32 years ago. 32 years, right? You would think in 32 years, everything that's going to be is done. You would think that. I, at least twice a week, look down, and it's usually this arm right here. I will look down, and there'll be blood on my arm. And it's because I can't feel anything. So I bang into stuff, and I don't feel it. Like a corner on a wall or a doorknob or a car door or, something sharp or like the littlest things that people don't like. This is a tiny one, but I've had a big problem with it. You ever change a screen, like a screen on a window? Seth?
Yeah. No, I'm listening.
No, when I change a screen, you know how it is surprisingly sharp,
Oh yeah.
the edges of the screen when you cut it and stuff. Every time I've ever changed a screen since I got hurt.
This episode of the CMS Network is brought to you by our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you are a coffee lover, you will love when they are selling over at Blackout Coffee. Make sure you get yourself some. The only thing woke about this company is the drinker of the coffee, because it gives you quite a jolt. I am a personal fan of the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast, but everybody's a little bit different. Make sure you get what is your favorite today. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use the promo code CHRIA20 to save 20% on your first order. It's that simple. So one more time, blackoutcoffee.com. That is the link, or use the full link if you're going to shop around. That is scrolling on the bottom, and get yourself some of the best coffee that is out there today. blackoutcoffee.com.
Has led to bleeding on my arms because I end up cutting it and I don't realize it. I only realize it when somebody else comes to me and says, "Hey, what did you do?" You know, I never know. And it's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, look, I would love to come on to this podcast and say, you know what, everybody, it's all going to be wonderful. You're going to be perfect and everything, but it is what it is.
It's not.
It's not. And what you do with time, and admittedly, I have a lot more time than you do at this point, but with time, you start putting the importance of it further back. You know, you leave it like it's weird now. You know, it's weird that I know I have my story and I know my story, but it doesn't feel like my story anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like a story I know. It doesn't like I don't like, here's my book cover. I know I'm shamelessly plugging my book, but everything on this book cover is realistic to what was going on when I got hurt. I was all wrapped up. They taped this little sign that says, "Call me Chris," over my head because I was so swollen and burned and messed up that no one could even recognize me. That's what a mess I was, you know, and I still have the note. I have the note that says, "Call me Chris," in a book over here somewhere, but I don't have that fear anymore. You know what I mean? When I see this, or when I think about this or whatever, I don't have that immediate thing anymore. I'm not thrown back to it. Now it feels more like a story that I know, where I think for you're still very much in the middle of it, because you're still fighting with getting the gear and stuff that you need.
Yeah.
The right way. So to you, the mental anguish stays very much up front still. Yes?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Habu said to take one of those GLP-1 drugs.
Yeah, you know what?
But
That's
you know
a
what?
decision for
My insurance
everyone.
company denied it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did they deny it?
I don't know. But
Sounds like you need a different doctor.
yeah, Jake, the guy I do the radio show with,
Yeah.
or anybody that doesn't know Jake, he worked with the Kennedy campaign.
Okay.
And Bobby Kennedy said specifically that this drug was for people like me.
Right.
The insurance company denied it. I think they're coming out with them now. You can just get it on your own for like $100 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like I know it's not Hims, but I see the commercial all the time where they're just like, yeah, you just shoot this in once a day and you're fine. You know, I probably should, because the weight is going to be what takes me out eventually, and I know that. But, you know, I probably should. My biggest fear with getting into something like that is that I now become that guy. You know what I mean? Dependent on meds and on a shot. And I'm not dependent on any meds. I don't take any meds. You know, I'm one of those rare breed that the minute that I got cleared from the hospital and whatever. And the minute that they took me off all the drugs, I was done. I've not gone back to it. I don't use like the closest to a drug that I use is I do take a half of a gummy once a night to go to sleep. But I take no drugs for pain, no drugs for the burns of any kind. And I haven't for 25, 26 years now. It's been a long time.
When I was in the hospital, when they were giving me that oxy stuff,
Yeah.
I finally said, I don't want any more of this. It's like, it felt really good. It made me feel better.
Yeah.
But it felt too good for me. I was like, no. Just give me Tylenol or Advil or whatever I'm allowed to take. And I don't want that stuff anymore.
Dude, I was taking so much Percocet that they thought I was selling it. Meanwhile, I couldn't even hardly stand up straight. And my doctor calls me in one day and he's like, "Are you selling your pain medicine?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" "No." And he's like, "I know, you're going through a hard time with, money and whatever, but you can't sell your pain meds." I was like, "I swear I'm not." And he was like, "Well," and this is old school. They don't do this anymore. But back then, because I lived so far away from the hospital, they would just give me unlimited refills of Percocet. And so instead of taking the 2 every 8 hours or whatever I was supposed to take, dude, it was a glass of milk and a handful of Perks. That's why I was doing that 3-4 times a day. I was going through a bottle of Percocet that was supposed to last me a month in about 4 days, 5 days. And the CVS is right up the street. So my ex, she would go and refill the thing. And she didn't even know I was taking them off book necessarily. She was just like, "Oh, you need more meds? Okay, I'll go get them." I didn't tell her, "Hey, I'm turning into a junkie here." I didn't tell her that. I just did. And all in one swoop after that meeting, my doctor, Dr. Fratt, he's like, "Well, you're off them now. You get Tylenol 3 for a week and then you're on aspirin. Suck it up and deal with it." And you know what? I did.
Yeah.
I did. I could have been that guy. I certainly knew people that would have drug dealed to me.
Right.
I certainly knew the right people, but I just didn't. And I'm glad I did not because that would have been a nightmare. But I don't know. One last thing before we wrap this up, Seth, because I want to stay with the concept of the first week. How long was it? And I know it wasn't the first week, but how long was it from the first minute until you got the people close to you to understand how to deal with you? If you want me to answer it first while you hear it. Well, there is that too. I've got that too, but
like for me, a lot of it was because my blood sugar was constantly changing.
Sure.
So the leg thing, it was difficult enough, but because of the diabetic blood sugar stuff, I was mood changing like nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could be not eating for a little while and all of a sudden just get so angry that I'm screaming at my poor wife when she has no idea why. And quite frankly, I don't know why.
Sure.
I just got into these moods where it's just anger. And so there was a lot of fighting back then.
I bet.
I think a lot of that has changed and gotten better. But except for this weekend, but shit happens.
Yeah, well, and dude, I went through the same exact thing. It's funny you bring up the blood sugar because I don't remember if it was my brother or my mom, but one of them was sneaking me in some Snapples. Like I was just always with the burns. You're always thirsty, because you have so little skin, and where you do have skin is like not really, it's being fed every ounce of fluid that you have in you to heal it.
Right.
And so I was always thirsty, and they would always come in with those horrible Enfamil or Ensure rather, not Enfamil, but Ensure.
Yeah.
That horrible vitamin, what would you call that? Vitamin milk, I guess.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yes, it is. It's very gross.
And drinking it every day, and it might, you're not getting it fresh out of the fridge either. It's probably rolled around for 45 minutes as they've rolled floors to deliver lunches and stuff.
Right.
So now you're getting this warm vitamin-y gross milk.
Yeah.
And that's all they wanted me to drink. And I was just dying on this stuff. And I remembered, I think it was my mom, maybe. I was like, can't you just get me a Snapple? Just bring me in one. And so she started sneaking me in a Snapple like every day when she would come up to visit. She's sneaking me in a Snapple. And what ends up happening, the doctors didn't know what was going on. They're doing their blood tests or whatever every 4 hours. And I'm going from like normal level, which, they were working hard. Obviously, the food and the drink and everything was all, processed through to maximize healing.
Right.
And here I was, they didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, my blood sugar's like off the charts, 5 times what it should be or something. And they don't know why. And they're coming in to me and they're saying, what are you eating? I'm like, oh, I'm just eating what you're handing me. I wasn't going to admit it because I wanted the Snapples. So I'm literally in the room almost killing myself because somebody was trying to do the right thing for me.
For me, it was different because I lost the leg and everything. So I think a lot of the people thought I was just there because I lost the leg.
Right.
So I'd get my breakfast in the morning, right?
Okay.
And it would be French toast, powdered sugar,
Sure,
fruit, and all this stuff, regular maple syrup, nothing that was sugar-free. It was all just loaded with sugar
yeah.
that the hospital was actually giving me.
Right.
It took literally a couple of weeks before I finally said, am I supposed to be eating this stuff? I was like, it's all sugar. You gave me powdered sugar. I'm a diabetic. What do you want? Oh my God. No, you're supposed to be on a diabetic menu. I was like, well, I'm not.
Yeah, well, fix that
But
because I'm
going
not.
through all these mood swings, dude, when I went into the hospital and they put me in the coma and everything, my blood sugar, normal blood sugar is what, 80 to 100?
Yeah, something in that, yeah.
My blood sugar when I went into the hospital was 1,000.
Wow, 1,000. Even I didn't get to that level.
Yeah, 1,000 because the sepsis drove it up. I mean, when you get an infection, it drives up your blood sugar. Smoking drives up your blood sugar. I mean, so I was smoking like a fiend the night that I had no idea what the hell was going on. And I was eating whatever I wanted. My blood sugar was 1,000. Should have been dead right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, no doubt. I should have been dead.
Your body is amazingly resilient.
What?
Your body's amazingly resilient.
But when you go from all these different highs and lows of your blood sugar, you end up going through fucking mood swings and you get angry.
Yeah.
You get angry if it's too low. You get angry if it's too high. You get emotional. You get all these different things.
Well, you get angry because part of it is you're just hungry. Because when you're healing, your body's burning. Like just laying in bed healing. I don't know what it was for you, but for me with the burns, it was like 20,000 calories a day. I remember when they tried to start getting me to eat, I had the nose tube and everything, and they, for the most part, were feeding me 24/7, that awful, horrendous looked like brown diarrhea coming through my nose. It was nasty as shit. But they're feeding me all the time because I had to be fed. And then when I first woke up, they wanted me trying to eat, like actually eat. But then they wanted me eating 20,000 calories. Dude, on a good day, on today, now that I'm a fat piece of shit, I don't think I could eat 20,000 calories.
Right.
I just don't think I could do it. And they were like, oh no, we're going to bring you, they'd bring me a tray and then they'd bring me another tray an hour later. It's like, here's another omelet. It's like, hold up there, Chief. Not done with this omelet. I haven't drank this awful Ensure.
I wish I would have had that problem. The only thing they fed me was, I remember I had a piece of meatloaf and I took a picture of it because it was so sad. It was so sad. I did lose weight when I was in the hospital, though, but I don't want to go back there just to lose weight.
Nah, I think I would take the shot if that's the option.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to look into that shot. I don't know. See what happens.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, before we go, I do want to plug my book because I
All
got
right.
more copies of it, so I definitely wish to do it. And I'm going to put up this little fancy picture right here, which is my favorite picture I've ever taken in the entire world, because this other than my kids being born, this might be the happiest I was ever in my entire life. And it was in 2020, I think, maybe 2019. But this is me handing my doctor, that's my doctor that saved my life, Dr. Freddie Ann. And this is me handing him a copy of my book, which was just, going through everything that I went through and him kind of carrying me to the finish line of it. It was like my greatest honor in my life to
That's awesome.
give him this book and to put copies of my book in the waiting room. Because it was one of those things. The only reason I wrote the book was because my mom had said to me at some point in the hospital, she wished there was a book on how to deal with somebody going through it. So I wrote it. I mean, that's honestly why I wrote my book. But like I said, this is something that I did, and it really, really is a great thing. And I'm super proud of it. And if people want to read, it's a raw book. I will tell you, it is definitely not. And then Jesus came and he carried me out of the fire and there was just his footprints in the sand. It's not that book. It's definitely this sucks. It's hard. Go through it. And if you want to buy it, you can just look me up on Amazon. Call me Chris. If you look up my last name too, if you type in call me Chris Akin, pops right up. Buy it on a Kindle. You can buy it on a hard or a paperback. I believe you can buy it on hardback now, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So please do, people, if you would, if you are so inclined and you're interested. And Brian and Dude Bro Seth, fuck you both.
I just have a Venmo account, so you can help me get my next shot of a weight loss drug.
Ozempic. Too funny, but I think that's going to do it for this episode. Seth, next episode of this, I actually have the next two episodes, I think, booked. For sure, the next one. Next week on the show, we are going to have a drummer of a touring national act. We're going to have Wayne Stokely, who is the drummer of the band Lillian Axe, joining us. And he is blind. So he plays and tours the country playing heavy metal as a blind guy. So that should be really interesting to find out. And then I talked to another guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, which is my bad. But he's an amputee, and he is doing a travel podcast. He took his accident and used it as the momentum to push him out into a Winnebago traveling the country.
You know what's so weird?
What's that?
My wife and I just looked up the other night because we were talking about we're going on vacation in a couple of months.
Sure.
And we looked up places to go that are handicap accessible or amputee accessible.
Sure.
Because I wanted to know where you can actually go and have an easy time of vacationing. Because I know some of the places we've gone, not so.
Sure.
So we looked up videos the other night. I wonder if that was the same person.
It might be. He's like a guy with like a cowboy hat and stuff.
I don't know. I'll look at tonight again. But
yeah,
I may have had a tasty beverage in myself at that point.
We'll have all the info for next week about him and his podcast and whatever. But yeah, we got a couple guests coming. I loved having Josh on last week, man. That was very informative.
That was good.
That was very good. So
Habu says, get Chiselka to talk about supporting Seth. No politics.
I'd be okay with that if you are.
I mean, he was a good friend back then. Still is a good friend. I believe we just don't get along on anything. We want to murder each other.
Don't get along on politics, but certainly Mike was. And you know what? I'm going to make that happen, Seth. I'm going to make a command decision here. We're going to make that happen. And I'm also going to get one of my friends that came up to the hospital with me, and maybe we'll do kind of like a round table about that, about what they were dealing with and how different me and you, were to our friends in that moment. Because I think that's interesting. I think that's fascinating stuff for people.
If we can't get a hold of him, I got another one that was there a lot.
Okay.
So. Well, yeah, that's a great idea. Right.
I love that idea. So lots of good stuff coming here on Limping Out of the Fire. It's not going to only be, and then I got hurt, and then it sucked. Trying to tell you guys some real story. Look, the goal here.
It did suck, though.
It does suck. But the goal of this podcast, this show, is not only to talk to people going through stuff, but to look, everybody that's listening, every single one of the however many people, 20, 50, whatever it is, that are watching this right now, if they're not going through something themselves, they know somebody who is. Whether it's cancer, leukemia, blindness, loss of a limb, whatever it is. And the most common question is, I don't know how to interact with that person. I don't know how to make them feel better. And with any luck, we're giving you guys some ideas. And by all means, not today because we're done, but starting with the next one, if you've got questions, we want them in the comments. We want to know, we want to be able to help you help somebody going through some shit to not have to go through it as hard as we did.
And I know it sounds stupid and everything, and I hate doing it, but share this stuff.
Yes, please.
Tell a friend. Do something to help promote this, to get the word out there so we can. It's not like the Seth Williams show where I have the Venmo scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
We're actually trying to do some stuff to benefit others.
Absolutely.
Which is unusual for Chris and I.
Yeah, because we don't like anybody. But
yeah, we don't really care for the most part.
We are two callous, jaded fucks. That's for sure.
So, but if you can do a little bit to help out and share this and let people know about it, or if you know somebody that is sitting in a hospital somewhere and they need something to watch, tell them about it.
Yeah, because believe me, if I would have had this to watch instead of Hill Street Blues, I would have never discovered that dumb show. So, all right, we are done.
Yep,
Seth,
have a great night.
As always, thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you on Wednesday with the real show.
That's right.
I shouldn't say the real show, the other show.
The other show.
Yes.
All right, see you, folks.
See ya.